In the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, most merciful Master of the day of judgment in which we now live. Thee alone do we serve, and Thee alone do we seek for help. Guide us on the straight path, the path of those upon whom Thou hast bestowed favors, not of those upon whom wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray.
With it being more access to this type of knowledge and, you know, the things that we're taught, that, like you're teaching today, that we can hear on our own now, why is it that we're still at the point that we don't care?
Because you don't see anything realized that you can attach yourself and your life to. So even with knowledge, even with the access of knowledge, even by learning, the question is, where can I go? How do I become a part of something that I can give my life to, make a commitment for, that will actually produce a change?
Yes, sir.
So you don't care because there's an old saying, the more things change, the more things remain the same. So you see it, so you don't care because, hey, I don't see really any real change, real commitment into what my brothers, real leadership. Because the leadership is constantly selling us a false promise. So you don't listen too much to leadership. You're not in the church. They come out and ask for our vote. Why don't you care? Because what has that led us?
Come on now.
What has that given us? Huh? They tell us to go to school. You need an education. Well, I do know that I need to know something. But what has that produced meaningfully for us as a people? Why? Because everything that has been set up is only designed for you to be a part of a system. And a system that has failed us over and over again. That's why Elijah Muhammad offered us an alternative reality.
Come on now.
He said we will never get from white people what white people have promised us. We will never get the freedom and the justice that we seek as long as we keep on looking to the system, looking to the government, looking at politics. We've tried that. What has that given us? It only has served a few. So you have the classes and you have the masses. And the masses are lagging behind. They are forgotten. So when you don't care, very important thing, when you lose care, see, that's what causes us to vent in the way we vent. That's what causes us, Brother Willie, and out of our anger, our frustration, see? Because it's disappointment upon disappointment upon disappointment. So when a person doesn't care, that means they don't value anything. They don't value their own life. And we don't value the life of our brother and our sister. So now what? When I don't care about something, how do I treat what I don't care? How do I treat it? It's nothing, because it has no value. The things you have value, you protect. The things you have value for, you care for it. But when you lose that value, you become a destroyer, even of yourself.
Yeah,
So look at the drugs. right? You all, some of you, you may smoke some Zot, right? It's real. Now, what are you looking for?
Good question.
And what does it give you? This is a chemical. This is a plant. But it's more chemicals than it is the plant itself. That's why it was termed loud. The smell of it. I smoke weed.
What?
I don't know if any of you other brothers. Yeah, any of you brothers in the nation smoke? I always tell this story, right? Because when I was your age, the weed we used to purchase, we knew it was coming out of Mexico. It was coming from Jamaica. We used to call it, right, sister, ganja. Oh, and that Jamaican ganja was, oh. But, and then I grew up part here and in Mexico. My father wanted us to learn Spanish and all of that. But what you got now, that thing has been sprayed, it's got chemicals, and you know when you smoke it, right? We used to smoke it, we would get high, but it would give us like this, you know? Like you do now, the eyes, you know, you do. But you would be more in a chill mode, I'll put it like that.
That's right.
With the weed we used to smoke. You get amped up. And some of you suffer from paranoia. You get paranoid with what you smoking. And it gets you hyped. The chemicals. And some of you are getting a hold, I would say some of you, but in our community, they got synthetic weed.
Right.
Some of us lose our minds by the chemicals that we're putting in our body. I'm going back to the care, see? Because when I don't care, I don't even value this no more. So I'm putting chemicals in my body. I am putting my life at risk by trying this, but in all of it, what am I seeking? And what is that high that makes me feel good? See? It's a false sense, though it's real. But that is something that you want and I want all the time out of life. That I don't need to smoke something or drink something, or put some syrup to feel what? High. Because high is where your life is destined to be. I'm talking about your life. You know, each of you, that your life has value. It has purpose. You got dreams of greatness. That's the greatness of God that is in you. But how do I realize it? How do I secure it? If the society that I'm living in is not really directing and guiding me that I can fulfill my purpose. Go, you wanted to say something and we'll wrap this up.
Just think about going back to the I don't care. So it's like we went through the slavery, we're still enslaved, you know, some kind of
That's right.
spiritually good. We went through physically, and we became, you know, segregated, and we was doing well for ourselves, got broken up, you know, the 80s back here and all this. And now we at this point now where it's like, whether it's the music, media, the food, pharmaceuticals, wherever we're going through that's, you know, self-destruction, you would think like there would be some type of dramatic shift where we get back on the track and we want that, but it's like we get further and further away, and it's like we keep putting the same glue and Band-Aid on something that's already broken, like the system So how do we remove ourselves from that, and how long potentially do we have before it just gets worse and worse or it gets better?
Man,
Good question.
I don't know if you all heard it.
Yes.
See, the last thing that you asked, see, unfortunately, your parents and your grandparents did not do what they needed to do so that you would not be subjected to this.
That's right.
Your parents and your grandparents lived during a time that Elijah Muhammad, the Malcolm X's, and all of those great black leaders, Brother Curtis, we speak of and look back at. See? During that period of the 60s, black leadership was coming together for a common cause. And Elijah Muhammad was calling us not to integrate,
Come on.
but to separate. That we as a people can be free and independent and do for self. Unfortunately, we missed that window of opportunity. And more leadership was presented to us that continued to sell us on voting and all of these things, get a job. So when you lose windows of opportunity in life, it's like a crop that is sown. Once certain conditions hit that crop is all but what? Lost. So another crop is seeded. This is you now. See, you know all of those things. Now the question is, are you willing to step up with the knowledge that you know and not look anymore in the direction that has failed us? Will you take leadership in your own hands to take us in a different direction?
Good question.
It's going to get worse before it gets better. Now, what God has done is, because He knows that we're all victims of this circumstance and this system, guess what He's decided?
Come on.
To destroy it. Have you all heard of talk of the end of the world, end of days? You've heard that talk? That's talking about the end of a system. The end of the world means the end of institutions, governments. It's the end of a system. So the system right now is already self-destructing. This that we have known is actually breaking up as we speak.
That's right.
The whole thing is imploding. The whole system is failing. It's a failed system. Now, you have the knowledge of that. You say, well, what do I do? You may not believe what I'm going to say to you, brother.
Come on now.
Curtis, Kurt, Willie, Eric, all of you. You may be 19, 18, 17, 20, whatever your age is. You are the leaders for tomorrow.
Come on.
You have it. And the reason why I can say that is because my teacher has said it. But you now have to lead your people. in your mind from what God has given to you that you already know will be better for your people. You just have to accept the responsibility to do it. Everyone that is a leader started with an idea. They started with a desire. And they were determined to do what it is that they had in their mind. You already have that fire. You got that passion in you. So what do? You find a like-minded person. You begin to sit down, organize, and plan the future that you want for yourself.
Yes, sir.
Am I making sense? And nothing can stop a man that has an idea whose time has come. It's on us to change the reality and produce a reality that we desire for it to be. Nothing happens by some magic or anything. It has to be. And history shows us, whatever you have in your mind and whatever you desire, you already have the power to produce it. So you find Brother Willie, Brother Kirk, Eric, different one. You come together. You start looking at your neighborhood, where you are, the blocks that you are. See? What are the negative elements that are negatively influencing us? How do we organize ourselves according to a plan to bring about the favorable conditions that we desire?
Come on now.
Now the men are stepping up, because you're already men. You're already a man. What are the things that we already know should not be in our community? How can we as men call ourselves men if our girls and our women and our grandmothers are not safe and protected in our community? We got to establish some principles that we're going to live by. See? You watch the gangster movies, right? And the Italians. Familia is sagrada. That means family is sacred. Come on. You and I may have our issues because we're men. And you can aim and shoot straight on Call of Duty. But in reality, you can't shoot straight. Huh? Innocent children are getting killed in the crossfire. Huh? We got to sit down as men. We have our differences. This one is a part of this outfit, this organization, this street organization, this gang. Hey. We sit down and we say, look, we're hurting ourselves. There's more for us to gain by coming together. You mentioned tribes. The Arab people are wealthy and powerful today, right? But they were 345 tribes before God raised up a man named Muhamad, who was a prophet to them and gave them wisdom, knowledge. And through that revelation in scripture that's called the Quran, the Arab people were united. How do you think America became America? How do you think England became England? All of these nations had internal conflicts. They were warring against what? Each other. Until they saw, hey, if we keep on doing this, we're going to not exist no more. There's a bigger pie that all of us can eat from. Let's come together in unity and make a nation for ourselves. The idea of nation is an idea that has never been defeated. And that's why Elijah Muhammad has a nation of Islam. Islam means peace. But the idea of nation, because we are a nation within another nation with 50 million black people. But we keep on depending on the same white man that brought us into slavery. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, a man that doesn't treat you right ain't going to teach you right. They're never going to give you the knowledge that will make you and I equals to them in the land.
That's right.
Our problem and the problem of the generations before us is they keep on going back to the same slave master.
Keep going back.
To feed them, clothe them, give them a job. We're the only ones that hold press conferences talking about what we're going to do. You don't see Mexicans doing that. You don't see Koreans doing that. You don't see no other ethnic group holding press conferences, what we're going to do, and then demanding justice, marching and marching. Something wrong with that picture, because they don't look to the white man to do for them what they can do for themselves. Let's become a nation. Let's organize. Let's make our communities and neighborhoods a decent and safe place for us to live. Once we have value here, then everything in our environment begins to reflect the thinking of a people. As a man or a woman thinks in their heart, so is he or she. So if we got trash in our neighborhoods, our neighborhoods reflect the thinking that's in that neighborhood. Right? So we as young men, shouldn't your little sister, shouldn't the female members of your family feel protected and safe? Shouldn't our mamas and our grandmothers feel protected in their own community?
Come on now.
Absolutely. Should we permit the kind of evil that is being done in our community? No, we shouldn't. It's not the job of police. It's the job of us as men to make our communities safe, to make our communities clean. And it's not going to come from those that are in front. It's going to come from those like you that live there. And you already know. People come with all this talk, but there is no change. You got to be the agent of the change that you desire.
Come on now.
All of the great leaders, they started young like you.
That's right.
And they start old.
That's right.
At your age. And they determine, hey, enough is enough. This BS, excuse me, ends here.
Right.
Period. Period. All of the street organizations. I come from a city where you know, hey, from the early days of Al Capone to the Disciples, the Stones, but all of these organizations that the leaders of these organizations are now in prison. They started off with beautiful aspirations, goals. Everything was designed to benefit the community.
That's right.
But drugs got in, guns got in, see? And it corrupted the positive goals that these street organizations had for the benefit of what? Their community. So brothers, particular,
Come on now.
because When I came in, I sat next to you, we greeted each other. I knew before you spoke a word, this brother sitting next to me is powerful. You're a thinker. You're a thinker.
Come on, man.
And you're processing everything. And you know more than what you say. And each of you are like that. But now you got to take matters into your own hands. You do it anyway. So if we do it with something that is destructive to my people, destructive to my family, destructive to my community, then why don't I pick up something else and start distributing knowledge like I distribute drugs? Why don't I start distributing an idea and a plan in my neighborhood?
Come on now.
And make an example.
Mm.
You can do that. And we work together to end conflicts, end the violence by sitting with one another and say, hey. Retaliation is just going to continue. I lose a cousin, you lose somebody, so we want to what? We want payback. At a certain point, man. When does that end? It only ends when we say it ends. Enough is enough. You suffered enough loss, I suffered enough loss. We're not getting nowhere. Can't we see that we're destroying our own neighborhoods and they don't care about us?
That's right.
Can't we see they not like us?
That's right.
Well, once you understand that, now you begin to organize. You have to be the leadership that you desire. You got to claim it for yourself.
Yes, sir.
And you go out here and make a difference. Thank you for allowing us these few words. We love you all.
In the name of Allah, the beneficent and merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the beneficent, most merciful master of the day of judgment in which we now live. Thee alone do we serve, and thee alone do we beseech for help. Guide us on the straight path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed favors, not of those upon whom wrath is